You can now get 2 free audiobook downloads and a 30-day free trial at audible.bogosity.tv. Your choice from the world's largest selection of over 180,000 digital audiobooks and spoken word content for your iOS or Android device, Kindle, or MP3 player. Go to audible.bogosity.tv now. Welcome to the Bogosity Podcast for the week of November 5th, 2017. The podcast that thumps the gut bass and solos for a while. This is your host, Shane Killian, and returning this week is Chris Hangartner. Welcome back, Chris.
Hello there.
Let's denudate the news of the bogus. First off, an update on the attempts of Catalan to get independence from the tyrannical Spanish government. And you know, if Spain wanted to prove to us that they weren't tyrants after all, they're going about it in completely the wrong way.
I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't too big of a fan of some of the people advocating for that, because let's face it, a lot of the Catalan independent people, are the diehard communists, but still,
Well, they forcibly ousted Catalonia's president, ministers, diplomats, and police chiefs, 140 all total, and gave complete authority to the central government in Madrid, which, let's face it, is pretty socialistic on its own.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a choice here of socialism and not socialism, so. They've also disbanded the Catalonian parliament and called for new elections on December 21st. Yeah, I'm sure those will be perfectly fair and not in any way rigged.
Yeah. Then again, people fail to realize most democratic elections are bullcrap. That's a sad truth.
Yeah, but at least most of them don't have troops in the streets trying to stop people from voting like Spain was doing with the Catalan independence vote.
Yeah.
But Catalans should know you can only have your republic for as long as you can keep it. One attempt lasted 3 years, another just 3 days. Barcelona's mayor said she was disgusted to see the Spanish PM applauded by senators for declaring the takeover. Quote, "Were they applauding his failure? Those who have been incapable of proposing a single solution, incapable of listening or of governing for all, have enacted a coup against democracy today with the annihilation of Catalan self-government."
It's pretty funny because some people have asked, what merit does Catalan, have to secede? Well, that's not exactly the argument. But second of all, I've actually heard from a few people who have been to Spain that say the Catalans, with the exception of the language, they have very little in common with the general Spanish, culture.
Well, they even have their own language.
Yeah.
I mean, officially they have to speak Spanish because they're part of Spain, but they have the Catalan language too. And we've also talked about how they pay something like 25% more in taxes than they receive in services.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the exact figure, but it was something like that.
Yep, Spain only keeps them because, damn it, it's my territory and no one else can have it.
Plus money.
Yeah, that too.
Meanwhile, Catalans have actually been looking to Estonia for ideas of what to do next. Estonia has a very innovative e-residency program, and a high-tech Catalonia may do well by emulating this, as well as setting up a national cryptocurrency.
Didn't Estonia follow a lot of Milton Friedman's free market economic ideas, and they succeeded?
Yep, up until the point I think they joined the European Union and went on the euro. I think they've been kind of limited after that, but...
Yeah, I love to use Estonia as an example because, everyone keeps saying none of Milton Friedman's policies have ever worked, and then I'm like, Estonia?
Well, and it's funny because it's basically a refutation of a lot of Paul Krugman's nonsense, and one time in the podcast we actually looked at what he was saying. Oh, well, Estonia recovered so quickly because they went on the euro, but they didn't go on the euro until like the last year of the recovery, and they had done most of the recovery before then. So that's when I started saying that Krugman has time-traveling econometrics. They travel faster than the speed of light and can have an effect before the cause.
Yeah.
But this cryptocurrency thing is such a good idea that the chief of the European Central Bank had to slap it down. Quote, "No member state can introduce its own currency. The currency of the Eurozone is the euro." Well, maybe you want to tell that to the UK, who's been using the pound this whole time.
There have been some attempts to get the British to adopt the euro, but the problem is that Catalonia doesn't have is that Britain is far more powerful of an economic power, so the European Union doesn't have a whole lot of options.
Yeah, but Catalonia didn't join the EU. Spain did and dragged Catalonia along with them.
Yeah, I saw one funny joke where one person compared the EU to the Church of Scientology, where it's like you're in for life.
Yep, that's it. Spain and the EU are determined that members should never be able to leave no matter what. Say, if you're tired of the promos in this podcast, well, the patrons got it early and with no ads or promos. Just go to patreon.bogosity.tv and donate at any level. Do you have children or nieces or nephews? Are you homeschooling or just want to counter some of the socialist indoctrination most children get in school? If so, go to bogosity.tv/TuttleTwins and you'll be taken to a website where you can get some great books for elementary age children. The Tuttle Twins books are books about liberty and free market economics that include children's versions of Bastiat's The Law, Leonard Read's I, Pencil, and Hayek's The Road to Serfdom, as well as books about the Federal Reserve and how regulations protect business cronies. They'll learn about the harm caused by eminent domain, or regulations passed in the name of safety, and fundamental concepts of liberty. And as you can see from the sample pages on the website, they're all easy to read and nicely illustrated. They're just $9.99 a piece, or get a special discount as well as free bonuses when you purchase all 5. You can even buy in bulk to donate to schools and local libraries. So get the Tuttle Twins books at bogosity.tv/TuttleTwins. Right, back at home, more government encryption idiocy, this time from Assistant U.S. Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who did not, it should be said, say that all records should be required to be kept in plain text, as a lot of places have reported, but what he did say amounts to pretty much the same thing. He advocated for, quote, strong and responsible encryption, which to him includes the ability of government to access, quote, I simply maintain the company should retain the capability to provide the government unencrypted copies of communications and data stored on devices when a court orders them to do so. When a court issues a search warrant or wiretap order to collect evidence of crime, the company should be able to help. The government does not need to hold the key. So basically, he just wants to make all forms of zero-knowledge encryption illegal. Yeah, so, he wouldn't require that they store everything in plain text, but he does want them to be able to decrypt the data at will, which public policy professor Susan Landau called the keys under doormat approach in a paper a couple of years ago. So sure, you can lock your door, just leave a key under the doormat for the government to use and any other criminal who happens to come by. So as Landau said, quote, there is no safe way to do this. Any system that provides a way in for law enforcement will inevitably be subverted by hackers. And we keep saying that over and over again, and we really hate repeating ourselves, but this is one issue where people just don't seem to listen.
They never listen.
Landau's co-author, Bruce Schneier, no stranger to this podcast listeners, said, quote, mathematically, of course, this is ridiculous. You don't get an option where the FBI can break encryption, but organized crime can't. It's not available technologically. And of Rosenstein, he said, quote, why do we care if he modifies his rhetoric in order to more successfully hoodwink his listeners? Other co-authors of this paper read like a who's who of cybersecurity, including early internet designer Peter Neumann, EFF founder John Gilmore, Matt Blaze of the Tor Project, Ron Rivest, the R and RSA, and Whit Diffie of Diffie-Hellman fame. Their paper concluded, quote, this article's analysis of law enforcement demands for exceptional access shows that such access will open doors through which criminals and malicious nation-states can attack the very individuals law enforcement seeks to defend. The costs would be substantial, the damage to innovation severe, and the consequences to economic growth difficult to predict. They're not mincing words on that, are they?
Yeah, it's just...
Nothing equivocal in that. EFF General Counsel Kurt Opsahl said that Rosenstein's comments show ignorance of even simple things like in-person conversations and payphones in the olden days. He also said, quote, perfect security is an unsolved problem. No one, not even the NSA, knows how to protect information with zero chance of leaks. Second, the security challenge of protecting a signing key used only to sign software updates is much less than the challenge of protecting a system which needs access to the keys for communications at the push of a button for millions of users around the globe. The DOJ needs to understand that secure end-to-end encryption is a responsible security measure that helps protect people.
Yeah, but are they going to listen to that?
No.
That's how the government works. They don't listen to anything unless if it's not something they like.
And another cybersecurity expert, Gary McGraw, VP of Security Technology at Synopsys, had a much more brief reaction to Rosenstein's comments. Quote, he's an idiot.
Plain and simple.
If you're on the Wi-Fi in a coffee shop or hotel, anyone on that network can get your traffic. Do you really trust all of those strangers? For that matter, do you really trust your ISP? A VPN can protect you from prying eyes, disguise your location, and even foil government censors. It's essential in this day and age, so go to vpn.bogosity.tv and you'll be taken to BoxPN. Starting at just $2.99 a month, you can get unlimited high-speed connections to VPN servers all over the world, and they don't log connections, so your privacy is assured. Traveling abroad, just VPN home, and don't worry about what those other governments are doing. Back at home, stop your ISP from traffic shaping and messing with the quality internet access you're paying good money for. You can connect from multiple machines at once, including your smartphone or tablet, and it supports all the secure standards, including OpenVPN and SSTP. Bypass censors and surveillance with your own secure VPN connection. Go to vpn.bogosity.tv. We actually try not to do cops behaving badly stories on this podcast, but it gets so difficult when they insist on being the scum of the earth with almost no accountability. Case in point, officers violently pushing reporter Mike Stark to the ground and arresting him because he said the F word.
Oh, that's it, buddy. You get upstairs to that kitchen and you put that mouth in your soap and you don't take it out till I say so.
Stark was trying to get coverage of the Virginia gubernatorial campaign of Ed Gillespie, which means that this whole thing is on video. It started when an officer told him to get out of the road. It looks like he was actually on a driveway. Well, he did back off, but the cop keeps arguing with him, and that's the point where Stark said, quote, "I'm a effing reporter doing my job." The cop says, "If you curse again, you're going to jail." And Stark retorts in probably the only sensible way, "F this."
What? I don't understand the whole war on bad language. People are gonna, language is subjective,
They're just phonemes. Phonemes can't hurt you.
Yeah.
One of the officers then pushed Stark up against a fence, pinning his arm and making it hard for them to handcuff him. Stark even said that if they let him free his arm, he'd put them behind his back. But these guys don't seem to be ready for Mensa. They kicked his legs out from under him, threw him to the ground, and then piled on, and still had his arm pinned under him so they couldn't cuff him.
Wow.
Now, one would expect that they might have cited him under Fairfax County Ordinance 511, which unbelievably says, quote, "If any person profanely curse or swear or be drunk in public, he shall be deemed guilty of a Class 4 misdemeanor." Now, there is no way that would pass muster under the First Amendment, but at least it would show some knowledge of the law they're supposed to uphold, if not the Constitution they're sworn to protect. But no, they cite him with the old hats used far and wide by corrupt thugs who have arrested someone for no cause: disorderly conduct and resisting arrest.
Resisting arrest, that one's always hilarious because it's like, you ask the officer, "Am I under arrest?" "No, but we still need to talk to you." "Well, I don't want to talk to you if I'm not under arrest." "Fine, you're under arrest for resisting arrest."
And you ask, well, what was I under arrest for that I was supposed to be able to resisting? If there's no attempted arrest, how can you be resisting arrest?
Yeah.
But in this case, resisting arrest just seems to be they pinned his arm to the ground so they couldn't get it out, and that was resisting arrest.
Yeah.
The amazing part was towards the end when one of the officers said to the cameraman, quote, "I'd appreciate it if you didn't film us, really would, okay? This job's hard enough. Honestly, it's hard enough." Yeah, it's hard enough being violent thugs violating the basic constitutional rights of civilians without you actually getting evidence of our thuggery. Criminy.
Yeah.
And tough job? Here are some tough jobs. Brain surgeon, cryptographer, astronaut, firefighter. Oh, hey, how about scientists working to study genetically modified crops in the third world when they're beset by terrorist organizations like Greenpeace and March Against Monsanto? I mean, that sounds like a pretty tough job to me.
Yeah.
But a job where you get to beat up defenseless people and face little to no accountability for it, that doesn't seem like that tough a job to me.
One person pointed out that your job is no more dangerous than other jobs on the market, so...
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all these lists of the top dangerous jobs, police do good to get in the top 20.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, you, in theory, are going after dangerous criminals, but you got to remember, police are armed to the teeth, so they can handle dangerous criminals.
Well, and they're not going after dangerous criminals. They can't get hurt like that. They're going after guys like Stark.
Yeah, same
thing. Or
thing.
people who have a plant in their pocket.
Yeah. And here's another good example. The same thing is with firefighters. You know, people say, but firefighters are the guys that jump into buildings. Actually, even our own fire department itself admits that almost never happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, 90% of the time when they're called in, it's for a medical reason because they operate the ambulance system.
Yeah, and they are trained to be emergency first responders, so...
Yeah, so...
Yeah, but at least it's still better than the police who just show up late and start drawing chalk outlines around all the bodies.
Yeah.
We live in a world where light bulbs connect to the internet, and recent attacks on them prove that your online security is under threat like never before. Not only your websites, but the internet-enabled devices you buy. And the biggest problem is weak passwords. That's why you need LastPass. LastPass allows you to randomly generate strong, unique passwords on the web and on your internet-enabled devices, all protected by one master password. LastPass sets up in minutes and gives you secure automatic logins throughout the web, synchronizing across all your browsers, all your computers, and even your mobile devices, at home, at work, or on the road. It even securely stores sensitive form data, including credit card numbers, backup sensitive documents, software licenses, Wi-Fi logins, and more. And with LastPass Premium, you can get these benefits on other applications, manage passwords for your entire family, and also get priority customer support. Sign up at password.bogosity.tv for a free month of LastPass Premium. Log in securely everywhere using the last password you'll ever have to remember. Go to password.bogosity.tv and get LastPass now. And now it's time to disentangle this week's biggest bogon emitter. And this week it goes to the news media once again in the wake of an amazing revelation that absolutely proves what the media was saying all the time about Trump colluding with Russia to fix the election. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I actually saw one of the links you there, and the biggest thing that made me laugh was that Slate was saying they talked to a source that we believe has connections to Russia, and I'm like, okay, so you believe it, but do you actually have proof? No, but we believe that.
Well, we've got this friend of a friend, you see. Well, according to pretty much everyone in the news media, Trump's cyber team colluded with Julian Assange of WikiLeaks to ruin Hillary's chances of election by releasing her private emails. And this confirmation apparently comes from Assange himself, who tweeted, quote, "I can confirm an approach by Cambridge Analytica prior to November last year, and I can confirm that it was rejected by WikiLeaks." Oh, wait a minute. Rejected? They went to him to collude and he told them no? I mean, CNN, MSNBC, you said Slate, CBS, Newsweek, New York Times, all these others are reporting this as proof of Trump colluding with Assange. In what universe is Assange telling Trump to go pound sand evidence of collusion?
Yeah.
And how does any of it link to Russia anyway?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't even Trump's campaign data team. This is Cambridge Analytica, a UK firm that's worked with many election campaigns the world over. Trump's campaign paid them $5.9 million, but that doesn't make them Trump's data team. They work with political campaigns. It's what they do.
Yep.
Lawrence Tribe tweeted, "This is big. Unless refuted, it shows Trump campaign tried to get WikiLeaks to help Russia sabotage the 2016 election. That was a Fed crime."
People, are you trying to start a third world war?
And by the way, about this $5.9 million, $5 million of that went to pay for TV ads. Only that $0.9 went to Cambridge Analytica itself. And hey, does anyone remember what a darling the news media considered WikiLeaks to be back when they were exposing bad things about Bush?
Yep. Then Obama took over, and then anything criticizing the Iraq war was unpatriotic.
Yeah, I guess no amount of revisionism is too much when you've got a narrative to push.
Yep. That's why, in all honesty, even as a kid, I hated the anti-Iraq war movement, even though I wasn't a big fan of Bush, was because I knew right from the beginning, this isn't an anti-war movement. They don't care about bringing the troops home. They just want Bush out of office.
Well, I mean, you can tell that when you see the anti-war rallies and there are just Obama signs everywhere, and it's like, are you people stupid? The guy voted for the war every single chance he got.
Same thing with Bernie Sanders. That's another thing Bernie fans don't like to admit.
Yeah. So for about the umpteenth time, the news media gets named this week's biggest bogon emitter. If you're going to shop online, use our special links to shop at Amazon. Clear your cookies and go to amazon.bogosity.tv, and you won't pay a penny more for your purchase. If you haven't used the mobile app in the last 12 months, or even at all, go to get5.bogosity.tv on your phone or tablet and get $5 off your order of $10 or more. Go to prime.bogosity.tv for a free 30-day trial of Amazon Prime and enjoy thousands of movies and TV episodes, borrowed Kindle books, and get unlimited 2-day shipping for free. And speaking of Kindle, go to kindle.bogosity.tv for a 30-day free trial to Kindle Unlimited. Read over 1 million books and listen to thousands of audiobooks on any device. You can go to music.bogosity.tv and get a free 30-day trial of Amazon Music Unlimited with access to Amazon's entire library of 10 million songs, ad-free and with unlimited skips, and even download to listen offline. All great ways to help this podcast simply by shopping at Amazon. And now let's defenestrate this week's Idiot Extraordinaire. Not a good week for the news media as it goes to CBS News, who is pretty much solely responsible for starting this latest wave of hysteria about prescription opioids at the expense of people like me who need them to manage chronic pain.
Top Tens did a video about the opioid thing, and it was kind of cringeworthy because they were talking about it was a big problem. They said, did you know that America consumes 80% of the opioids in the world? And I'm like, what does that mean?
If that were about any other medicine and it were in a universal healthcare country, they would say, oh, see how great it is to get healthcare in these countries? But yeah, got to change the rhetoric. Well, this hysteria seems to have started with that 60 Minutes expose, which largely seems based on this CBS News story from August 1st, which is chock full of misinformation. They make this huge deal about widespread addiction and overdose death from opioids. But hey, I thought that was supposed to be reduced when Obama recategorized them as Schedule 2.
And the thing is, 90% of what people say about opioids, you can say about any over-the-counter drug. You know, you can get addicted to aspirin, for Christ's sake.
Well, and if you just want to talk about deaths, acetaminophen is actually pretty bad. I mean, it's not addictive, but people, it's in headache medicine, it's in a lot of sinus medicines and cold medicines, and it is not good for your liver. But I mean, this is what we keep seeing. The war on drugs keeps having the opposite effect from the one intended.
Yeah, and that's another thing I also would like to say is that, look, even if what they're saying about opioids is true, let me ask you this. How is restricting it going to make the problem go away?
No, it's not. It's just going to make it worse.
Yeah, we know the dangers of heroin. Heroin is addicting, and it is really messed up, but people still do it, and it's illegal.
Well, they rely on Dr. Wilson Compton, Deputy Director for the U.S. National Institute on Drug Abuse, who said, quote, "The proportion of adults who receive these medications in any year seemed startling to me. It's an awful lot of people who take these, mostly for medical purposes, but within that, a significant percentage end up misusing them." Remember that phrase, a significant percentage, because we'll go over the numbers a little later. He wants people to suffer instead. Quote, "In many cases, physicians could write smaller prescriptions or avoid them completely for those who will benefit from ibuprofen or acetaminophen. Yeah, who cares about the fact that those aren't anywhere near as effective as opioids for pain relief?
Oh yeah, they always say well, why can't you use other medicines? This medicine works just as well and it's available. Well, maybe for you, but not for other people.
This is based on a study of 51,200 people covering the year 2015. Let's look at their own numbers, and remember, these are the numbers they're trying to use to scare you, right? 92 million Americans were prescribed opioids in 2015. 11.5 million misused them, but understand, misuse just means they took them without a doctor's prescription. 2/3 of them said that they were only doing this to relieve pain. And that's what happens when government strong-arms doctors to make them stop prescribing opioids. People suffering from chronic pain become so desperate for relief they turn to the black market.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't make it abuse by any definition any sane person would use.
In fact, one of the reasons why people take so many of those pills is because doctors are under a lot of pressure not to prescribe so many, and as a consequence, people will say, but that's not enough. I'm in severe chronic pain. I need more than that, so they end up taking more.
I'll be honest, I've honestly considered it just because it's so difficult to go through the whole rigmarole because you can't refill the prescription. You have to go and get it. But hey, on the dark web, I could just order them and they'll deliver them to my door. I mean, I haven't done it. But I mean, it is just so ridiculous going through this long, involved process to do it.
I actually posted that on a video one time that was criticizing opioids and all that, and I said, yeah, you see, the one or two people who were legitimately addicted, get better and treated, but what you don't see are the people who are in a forever state of constant pain because they can't get their medicine.
The number of Americans actually addicted to opioids is 1.9 million. 1.9 million out of 92 million prescribed users is about 2.1%. And by the way, that figure of addiction includes heroin, so the real percentage is somewhat lower. Most people who are prescribed opioids are never in any danger of becoming addicted to them.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty funny because they consider, you take a lot of pills because you're in so much pain that they consider that addiction, and, well, it's not really.
Yeah, you're addicted to not being in pain. That's what you're addicted to.
Yeah, an addiction is a chemical dependency. That's where you have no legitimate need to take, whatever you're taking, but you do because you have this strong psychological need, but I need it so badly. That's what an addiction is.
Yeah. Now, if you follow their link to the deaths from prescription opioids, you'll see that they totaled 17,536 in 2015. That sounds like a lot, but in proportion to the number of people prescribed opioids, that's 0.019%. More people are killed by diabetes. More people are killed by the flu and pneumonia or arteriosclerosis. Far more people die of obesity-related illness. And heck, according to the British Medical Journal, you're 14 times as likely to be killed by a doctor making a mistake than to die of an overdose of prescription opioids.
Yeah. And going back to the whole obesity thing, one of the reasons why we see a lot of people with those things that cause chronic pain, obese, is not because they're lazy. It's because when you're in so much pain, you can't get up and walk,
Yeah, exercising is difficult when you're in pain.
Yeah.
I try my best, but I mean, I can't build up any kind of endurance or anything. There's just too much. And by the way, you're twice as likely to die from tripping over your own furniture. Yeah, so that's the thing. When we use their own numbers, these are the numbers used by the people trying to scare you. We see that the vast, overwhelming majority of people who are prescribed opioids never become addicted, and deaths from addiction are actually fairly rare by comparison to many other risks. I mean, if you're not screaming that everyone who can should get the flu vaccine, then you need to shut up about prescription opioid overdoses.
Yeah.
Because more people are dying from flu. And I'll say it again, addiction is a symptom. People do not become addicted because they swallowed a pill. They become addicted because they have some underlying psychological or neurological issue driving the addiction.
Yep.
Here's what I want everyone to do, especially those who are participating in all this hysteria about it, and people like No Bullshit, who is normally a good YouTuber, but he, jumped on this bandwagon about it. I want all of you to please try to fathom pain that is there 24/7 and never stops. Can you try to just grok being in that situation and having the knowledge that, barring a medical advance, you will be in pain every single moment of every single day for the rest of your life?
Yeah, if you don't mind me asking, Shane, what was exactly the damage that in that car accident that actually caused you to feel permanent physical pain? Did you suffer some nervous system damage, or?
Well, it was pretty much all up and down my right side. I've got all sorts of hardware in my right arm and my right leg. And they also had to do things like cut out a piece of my hip to do a bone graft in my arm and stuff like that. And there's also just all sorts of just tissue damage and stuff like that that's just, you can't fix that. There's back surgery that they can do, but the side effects of the back surgery are even worse.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just do what you can to manage the pain. I mean, I pretty much have a pretty good quality of life. I have pretty much a normal range of motion, and I can pretty much get up and do what I need to get done. But man, the opioids help. They take my pain down from like a 6 down to like a 2. I mean, you just have no idea if you haven't been through that. You have no idea. And really what you have to imagine is that not even with the opioids do we ever get completely out of pain. It just becomes low enough that we can deal with it a little better.
Yeah.
And that's really all we're wanting here. Now, I also have to throw a brickbat at CBS News for something unrelated, but because of what they did to Silver Cluon laureate Miles Power, they made a story promoting the use of chlorine dioxide and industrial bleach as MMS, Mineral Miracle Solution, as a cure for everything from malaria to autism.
Yeah, I heard that one time. Yeah, there was that one person that said you can cure autism by shoving, like certain industrial chemicals down their throat, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, a while back, Miles made a video showing how it was all crap, as if anyone with more than 2 brain cells to knock together needed him to, but at the end of the video, he just tries drinking it, and despite the fact that he diluted it, he immediately spat it out because it was even more horrendous than he thought it would be. But CBS just showed the clip of him drinking it and cut away just before he spits it out to make it look like he was promoting it.
Yeah, they do shit like that.
And understand, his video quite clearly showed that not only did MMS not do what they claim it does, but it was dangerous as well, possibly even fatal.
In all honesty, I think that's intentional because I think some of these people want other people to die.
Well, it's fake news. They're trying to get clicks. They're trying to get views. They're trying to get ad dollars. They also included a clip from earlier in his video where he holds up a couple of bottles and says, "This is MMS," and they cut his sound right after he says that because he immediately says, pretty much in the same sentence, that it's industrial bleach and you shouldn't use it. Now that had to have been deliberate. They know the truth. They know what he really said, and they deliberately misled their viewers, putting them in danger.
I don't want to sound like I'm blaming, the patient and all that, but, a biggest problem that people fail to realize is that they just don't trust their doctor, and they love portraying doctors as like these corrupt guys who only care about money and all that, but most doctors have your good intention in mind,
Yeah, I mean, it's the people who make crap like MMS who are just in it for the money.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, the anti-autism movement with Jenny McCarthy. I tell people all the time, what does Jenny McCarthy have that qualifies her as a medical expert? And people said, well, yeah, she's not a medical expert, but she's a concerned mom. And that makes her reliable because...
Well, I mean, it's like, like people like Joseph Mercola, they're all like about, those doctors are just in it for the money and Big Pharma's just in it for the money. And he has this store where he sells things that are like way overpriced and don't even work,
Yeah.
And I mean, this infuriates me. It really makes my blood boil. CBS is fake news. I mean, come on. They encouraged their viewers to drink a dangerous bleach that has no medical benefits. And I mean, this whole panic about opioids and the continued oppression of chronic pain sufferers is almost entirely their fault. So this really makes me wish I could do something far worse to CBS News than just naming them this week's Idiot Extraordinaire. Well, that wraps up this I came here to drink milk and kick ass and I've just finished my milk edition of the Bogosity podcast. Come join the discussion at forum.bogosity.tv and feel free to send a question, statement, news article, or rant in text or audio to podcast@bogosity.tv. This podcast depends on you to keep going, so please donate using the links on the website or the QR codes in the thumbnail, or become a patron at patreon.bogosity.tv and get the podcast and YouTube videos early and without ads or promos. Thank you for listening, and thanks to Chris Hangartner for joining me.
Yep, it's good to be here.
Until next time, here's a quote from Chris Prentiss. Fighting addiction is like taking up a fight against the use of headache remedies. It will never work until the condition causing people's headache pain is healed. The Bogosity podcast is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Bogosity. Christmas time is coming, and the most classic of Christmas stories is A Christmas Carol. But how much do you know about the original Charles Dickens novella? Have you dismissed it as a children's book with one-dimensional characters amounting to nothing but platitudes and cliches? Maybe your appreciation of the book was even muted by those dry, boring, annotated books they made you read in school. My book, the sarcastically annotated A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, uses both facts and humor to present the book in a way you probably haven't seen it before. Giving praise when deserved and beratement when warranted, this book is put in the perspective of its time and shows a dimensional, multi-layered Ebenezer Scrooge from start to finish. Skepticism, history, and even economics are employed to show the book in relation to today in an easily accessible format. Appreciate the Christmas of your youth all over again. Get the sarcastically annotated A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, available at Amazon and on PDF as well.
Yeah, I saw the South Park episode, Hummels and Heroin.
That was funny.
That was funny, yeah. What do old people see in these things? Yeah, but
my wife couldn't stop laughing at the slow farts.
Yeah.
I just had kept pausing and just give her time to control. She loves a good fart joke.
Yeah, she's got those old lady farts. Yeah.